Observe how, for the longest time, the stage had been set, each actor playing a role so carefully disguised that no one suspected the shadows beneath their pleasant masks. Night after night, you walked through corridors lit by half-truths and false promises, confident that every smile you encountered was genuine, every handshake offered in good faith. Yet something subtle began to unravel. Small hints emerged in moments of tension. The sideways glance, a delayed reply, a sudden shift in tone. You brushed them off, convincing yourself the illusions were real. Then, quite without ceremony, the universe set events into motion that peeled back those disguises. A jarring circumstance or two forced everyone to show their cards. Friends you held close revealed sly intentions. Allies you swore by watched from the sidelines or vanished when you needed them most. Meanwhile, figures you overlooked stepped into the light with unwavering support. The puzzle rearranged itself until the faces matched their concealed nature. By the final reveal, the illusions you once believed in lay shattered on the ground. Anger might have flickered inside, knowing these people managed to hide behind sweet words for so long. Yet some part of you also sighed in relief, realizing you were no longer lost among false smiles. The greatest twist is that the universe did not simply provide answers. It demanded you see beyond the illusions. Sometimes, the harshness of fate hits you with no warning, insisting you reevaluate who stands at your side. In that moment, the word enemy takes on a new shape, less about direct hostility, and more about those who wear friendly faces while planning your downfall. When illusions vanish, the monsters remain. Yet in that exposure, freedom awaits. Knowledge of who is real becomes a shield, a guide, leading you through the labyrinth of half-lies. You stand, calmer now, unafraid to peer into the dark corners of loyalty. No more lurking doubts or nagging suspicions. The universe did you a twisted kindness. It showed who truly deserved to remain in your world, and who must be cast out like the parasites they are. In the aftermath, the watchers who intended to remain hidden scramble to mend their narratives. They claim misunderstandings or bad timing, perhaps a casual attempt to rewrite events. Their eyes betray the panic, though. Once masks slip, there is no going back. No way to pretend the monstrous glint was just a flicker of passing frustration. You recall every moment of subtle sabotage, every rumor whispered behind your back. The watchers cannot hide behind illusions anymore. They stand there, exposed, uncertain how to reestablish control when their target now understands the entire game. The shift in dynamics leaves them restless because they relied on secrecy and your ignorance to keep playing puppet masters. Without that cloak, they are forced to face your unflinching stare. The air thickens, charged with the tension of unveiled intentions. While they prefer to revert to old illusions, you hold up a mirror, letting them stare into the reality that you have discovered. Their kindness was conditional, their loyalty a performance. No matter how many words they pour out to regain lost ground, your trust left them the moment the universe ripped away the veil. This might fill them with a mix of dread and bitterness, since they cannot manipulate what sees through them. You stand unwavering, guarded by the knowledge they hoped you would never obtain. Each time they attempt a sly gesture of good faith, you remember how easily they bent truths. The watchers sense that memory in your eyes, realize the door to blind acceptance has shut. And that terrifies them more than anything, because their power thrived on illusions. Now illusions stand broken, scattered across the floor, like shards of worthless glass. The hardest part may be accepting how easily you were fooled. You recall nights spent laughing with those who, in truth, quietly sharpened daggers behind your back. The universe's revelation hurts, yet it also acts as a cautionary reminder. If certain connections dissolve once illusions vanish, then those connections never had a strong foundation. That acceptance might weigh heavily at first, especially if you once believed in unconditional bonds. But illusions must break for real clarity to shine. With clarity, you reevaluate every conversation, every promise, every moment that felt off. In doing so, anger flares, but also a sense of liberation. You no longer waste energy on relationships built on quicksand. The watchers behind the scenes can no longer spin complex stories about loyalty or blame external factors for the shift. You see them as they are. The blame is no longer enough to hold your attention. You focus instead on how to move forward. Healing from this betrayal might be complicated, requiring time to sort through the rubble of trust. In that rubble, you will discover your resilience. A cold realization settles in once someone recognizes that a great deal of suffering was neither accidental nor deserved. It was inflicted, pointedly, with intention, to keep you docile, uncertain of your own worth. Imagine nights when tears weighed heavily in silence, while the ones who hurt you slept soundly, certain that no consequence waited for their cruelty. They found satisfaction in your tears, your pleas, your confusion. The cruelty might have worn different faces, manipulative words, twisted half-promises, strategic betrayals that aimed to erode your self-belief. And in the midst of that turmoil, you might have believed them, believed that your anguish was your own doing. But a shift happens. A point arrives where the last shred of innocence burns away. The eyes that once brimmed with sorrow begin to shine with a fiercer light. Anger transforms from a self-consuming flame into a calm resolve, a vow that the same illusions will never again hold power. In that moment, you discover the force in your scars. Each ache once pressed down on your spirit, but now they rise like towers of experience. Words that once cut deep lose their sting. Even the memory of heartbreak becomes a sharpened edge for your new perspective. And so a hush descends, the hush before a storm of purpose. This hush terrifies the watchers who caused your misery, for they see the shift in your stance, the change in your tone, the unmasked knowledge in your gaze. They worry about retribution or some show of vengeance. Meanwhile, you find a different route. You show them regret through your unstoppable progress, your choice to thrive despite everything. They taste a bitter remorse every time they see you stand tall, living a life that surpasses their illusions. And that life becomes the echo of regret for those who reveled in causing your pain. At times, those who inflicted pain thrived on illusions that their actions were harmless or even beneficial. They may have claimed to be helping, insisting that their harshness built character, that you needed a lesson in humility. Yet if the die truly aimed to guide or support, why did the damage run so deep, so quietly? The question hangs in the air, unanswered, because they never anticipated you would ask it. They banked on your silence, your acceptance of each stab, disguised as tough love. They drew strength from your confusion, from your willingness to trust that maybe they had your best interests at heart. But illusions do not hold once you see the bruises, the sleepless nights, the sense of worth withering in your chest. A turning point arrives where you cannot sustain the lie any longer. The watchers, upon feeling the shift, attempt to circle back, to reaffirm their good intentions. Yet their words ring hollow against the memory of your raw tears and the echo of lonely nights. So you steer your energy into forging a path that disregards their commentary. Instead of begging them to see how they hurt you, you channel that heartbreak into new drive. A dark glow animates your eyes. Dark, not as in evil, but as in deep and unflinching. Now they realize that their illusions about your dependence on them were illusions indeed. Minding your own cause, you press forward, unburdened by what they think or say. The watchers begin to fathom the potential of your comeback, a potential they unknowingly fueled. That uneasy swirl inside them is regret forming. Regret that they ever thought to push you into a corner. The simplest retribution is your unwavering refusal to remain broken. They showed you pain, so you show them regret by thriving against all odds. One might wonder if seeing them regret fosters any moral dilemma in you, if you wrestle with a sense of pity. But pity rarely arises once you recall how deliberate their cruelty was. They relished each sign of your collapse. Compassion in the face of that memory feels misplaced. Over time, though, you might sense a quiet acceptance that regret is not yours to bestow or deny. It is simply the watcher's burden to carry, the price for harming what they should have nurtured. They face a reality they cannot rewrite. The damage they aimed at you ultimately severed the illusions and made you unstoppable. Sometimes your progress stings them more than any act of vengeance would. Where they expected you to unravel or beg for reconciliation, you remain focused on building a future that leaves no place for them. The watchers remain outside your circle, peering in with regret-laden eyes, ironically isolated by their own actions. The sense of irony flows strong. The watchers, who wanted you to remain small, now witness your expansion. Your forward trajectory leaves them in the shadows, forced to watch your success from a distance. They showed you pain, so you show them regret in every confident step you take.